Hey guys, Jake Bull, the Habitat Pro, going to do a potted tree planting lesson today because everybody asks what we do here. You won't see at the end is you won't see our paper plate and then mulch method, which keeps the grass competition back. But you already see we've used an auger about a time and a half bigger than the pot size, so we get rid of a lot of the grass competition. And now we just take care of the tree. So on the front end, these bottom branches are dead, but we don't need every branch to support the tree. It's actually better for the tree if we don't have the root system supporting quite as many branches. But obviously we don't trim off the top. So we're going to trim off everything from about here down, the bottom 4 to 6 inches or so of a bigger tree like this. And that's going to just allow the tree to take off, focus its energy up top and into the roots. We're not supporting branches that we don't want in the future anyways, okay? All right, now you can see I got about 1 hand width or so. That's pruned off. I don't need that stuff, neither does the tree. So now what I'm gonna do is, and this is not an egg, so you don't have to treat it like one. You're just getting it out of the pot. And then this, we wanna rough up. Now these trees that I have, these are the 5-year-old trees. These are 5-year-old root systems, so from nursery speak, it's a number 5 pot, okay? These were grown in the field for 4 years and then transplanted to a pot for 1. So this root growth right here, in a tree grown in a pot for 5 years, this would be terribly root bound. The way this nursery does it, what my trees have, are not root bound, but we still want to take the fingers and just rough it up so that we have a lot more surface area. And then, Zeke, can you get a look at this here? Okay, so now we don't want super loose dirt like that, okay? So what we have to do is we have to take and tamp it down, because the worst thing you can do for a tree on the front end is planting it too deep, and we don't want this to settle out later on, okay? So now what I'm eyeballing is this height level with the surrounding soil that I want to feed water into this thing. And if it is, I'm pretty good, and I think I'm pretty good here. So now I can just start backfilling. I usually get a few inches in the bottom first, and tamp, and then I'll do the same with another few inches. Now these holes were bored out last fall, so that's why we've got the hard rim around these. This dirt just sat all winter. So I'm just loosening that up for our next most important part here. Okay, the next most important part is making sure I don't get too deep here, okay? But I don't want to leave chunks, because right now down in here, because of that, there's air gaps, okay? So what I'm going to do is put my full weight down here, right on this root ball, all the way around. Don't be gentle. Now if you feel soft and squishy under your boots right here, that means the tree is going to drop when it rains, and you don't want that, okay? So you got to make sure it's solid, not going to drop later. And now you can just form it. You can see I still got the original potting soil is still right here. You see the green dots of fertilizer, you see that? Now what we do here at Habitat Pro with a lot of our very important trees, and what I'm talking about is this is a 5-year-old tree, right? You're not going to plant 5,000 5-year-old trees by hand. It's just probably not what you're going to do, right? If you've got an area where you're going to do a volume planting and your soil is fairly sandy and fine and can settle in around roots, yeah, go bare root trees, try it out, see how it goes. You are at the whim of the weather, Okay, so if we don't get rain, your bare root trees are going to die. We use a lot of 2-year-old trees for those plantings, so they still have a little bit of dirt on the roots, but it's just a little bit. This is a 5-year-old tree. You're going to plant it with an auger. You're going to plant it by hand. Now on the back side of the planting, every single tree that you need to grow fast, do a couple things. Number one, you got to take care of the sod competition. On the front end, we used an auger that's wider than the tips of the trees we're planting. Okay, so that gives full space for the roots to expand and grab on. No grass competition. Second, we want to keep that gone. So we use a 9-inch paper plate or a 12-inch paper plate, depending on the size of the tree. What we do is run a slit in that and put that right around the stem. And then we put a little bit of mulch on top, again, out to the branches, out to the tips. And then that holds the plate down, and that keeps the grass competition down until the tree can get established. If you take care of your trees on the front end, you should not have to water, okay? So remember that it's always easier to try to save water, conserve water, than it is to try to come up whenever your trees need it, fit it into your schedule, and go water, bring water to them. Okay, you got to rely on nature. That's why I always tell my clients, plant fewer older trees because they have a bigger root system, easier to establish and stronger, more viable, more hardy. Plant fewer older trees if you can. I would rather plant 100 5-year-old trees than 1,000 1-year-old trees. And I'll have other videos on that. It's night and day the difference, okay? But on the front end, at planting time, if you also take steps to conserve your moisture so you don't need to come back and water, so you're not always worried, did we get rain, did we not? That's what you can do to help your trees take off, establish in that first year, and then they're off and running and you just let them buck. This is Jake Will, the Habitat Pro. We are in northern Minnesota. If you want trees like this, contact me. I get a semi-truck full every year. We're ordering trees from January all the way through the end of February, and then customers pick up in April all the way through the summer. That's the other good thing about a potted tree is you can plant it any time of year. It doesn't matter when, whereas bare root trees, you're kind of on a timeline. It's kind of like dealing with a live grenade. What do I say?
This is Jake Will, the Habitat Pro.
All right, guys, get out and enjoy creation. Good luck this season, and God bless.